All right, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, you are all able to finally feel your heartbeat get back into a normal rhythm as Roma they defeat Venezia 2-1. That that match had everything: the good, the bad, the ugly. It was all on display this afternoon. Before getting into all of the action, thank you to our patrons over at Patreon, patreon.com/RomaPress. Get early access to episodes, extra episodes, mugs, merchandise, extra stuff. Check it out, patreon.com/RomaPress, and then at RomaPress, of course, YouTube, social media. Follow, like, subscribe. You know the drill by now. I am still trying to maintain a normal cardiac health after that one, Andy. I'm trying. I'm drinking some substances now to become more docile, which is what I needed after that because Eusebio almost did it. In that first half alone, you could tell that Venezia were fighting for that aloof, goofy-looking Eusebio Di Francesco, who, by the way, I noticed it today, and it has to be the trick of television, which I'm sure on these things I look like a short, chubby individual. I'm tall and chubby, 6'4", 6'5", almost 2 meters tall. You're tall as well, so the camera can play tricks. Okay, the angle when they showed Eusebio on the screen, I don't know if anybody has had the pleasure. He is a nice guy. Pleasure of being up next to him in real life. He could have been one of the Munchkins in the Wizard of Oz. This guy, he is not tall yet. On the screen on my television, he looks like the above average height of the normal Italian population. It's amazing some of the tricks that the television can do.
Dude,
But
that's
the guy
like
almost
that's
did
like
it.
that's like the most boomer way to open the episode. Like this television that it's pulling tricks on me that Eusebio Di Francesco
Hey,
appears tall.
w- I'm telling
that
they
that's
do
one
that
way to
angle
start the
where they go
podcast.
lower hey, listen, we all have been on social media
Sure.
and we have all seen the people who try to hide some of their deficiencies by doing the selfie like this
Mhm.
at going at the same angle of the sun. They did that from below with Eusebio, and the guy
Yeah,
looked like he looked like he was the size of like Boban or something. Who, by the way, left the NBA,
Boban
which
Marjanovic, of course. Yeah, the
yes, we
great
will have to
Boban
lament that.
Marjanovic.
But at about 7 feet seven tall,
Hmm.
but the way they made the guy look like a hulking figure was amazing to me. But the guy almost did it, Andy. I want to start there. That is the first thing that comes to my mind. Is that first half alone? The fact that Roma go in to halftime only down 1-0 is akin to a miracle. In fact, I would say that in and of itself is a positive to Roma
Sure.
that they somehow only entered the break down 1-0. Now, I don't know what those first 45 minutes were because I am hard pressed to find anything of substance, anything positive, anything that looked like a team out there. We need to get the bad stuff out of the way for this because it was so exciting to be on the other end of a late result that I'm getting all the crap out of the way first. That is the first thing that I noticed was, man, that first half, Andy, it was 11 strangers on the pitch. It was 11 zombies, 11 corpses walking about the pitch. And of course, I don't want to lay blame on them entirely, but having the atmosphere be crap again, unnecessary in my opinion. Although today, did you see one of the things that we saw that whistling during the match does harm to Roma? I mean, you couldn't make it up. It is you know it was like when my you speak of boomers, my boomer uncle Valentino. He
There we
smokes
go.
heavy smoke.
There we go.
And he's telling to me, "Oh my, I finally quit smoking." Okay, he pulls out one of those vape pens, and I said, "Well, did you really? I mean, okay, congratulations, I suppose." That's kind of what it felt like when you see them say whistling during the match does harm to Roma. I can't really take you serious after some of the previous batters that you held up, but that notwithstanding, That first half, man, I don't even know where to point the finger or what to put it on. I said in my post-match reaction to the patrons, this is one of the few times where when I'm watching the television and they bring on some random Italian footballer who played in Serie B for 7 years of his career. Usually, the analysis, in my opinion, is very bland, drab, general, to the point of you can essentially put on anybody in that chair of theirs and get a similar analysis. For this one, though, I actually have or want to tune in further to it because was it tactical? Was it technical decisions by the manager? Is it the players need more time to get a better understanding of each other? Is it the players looked, are they physically not up to it? Because I couldn't pinpoint what the issue was because it seemed everything was going wrong. The only highlights were you had Svilard pulling out two sensational saves. You had Indica and Mancini pulling out two miracle defensive actions. But beyond that, there was nothing else of any substance or positivity that I took from that first half. And while I do want to give credit later on to Ivan Juric for his substitution decisions, this simply isn't just, oh, well, he made some good substitutions and that's the whole thing that turned it around. Because I'm concerned that I can't pinpoint why you had 40, not even 45, because the early portion of that second half was a disaster as well. So for you, again, let's get the bad stuff out of the way.
Was
That
that was
first half,
wait was
I
it,
don't
what
even know
you
what to
did you
say.
say best or worst? What did you say right
No,
now?
no, no. I want to get the
The
bad
bad
stuff
stuff.
out of the
Okay,
way
I
because
heard
that first
best, the
half I
best stuff,
can't
and I was
even.
like, wow, that's you talking about the best stuff.
No,
That's
no, no, no. That first half though, I that's the part that bothers me the most. Is it's not like I can point to one thing. Oh, they couldn't pass the ball. Oh, look, they were tired. Clearly, physically, they were dragging. I don't know what it was because it was all bad. Everything seemed to go wrong.
yes. Well, I mean, but it's I think it's the classic example of a team that that again it starts off slow. How many times have we seen this from Roma in the years? Of a team that is sluggish, that perhaps underestimates the opponent, perhaps is a bit too sure of itself going into the match. Even based on the recent two performances that yes helped give us some
Yes,
confidence. They win against Udinese very convincingly. They play against Athletic, and without considering that late goal, that would have been a good win.
yes.
So and then and also this is their third consecutive game at home. Maybe they're getting a bit too comfortable. How many times have we seen that? I think this is the classic example of a mix of everything. Of everything that sort of that was supposed to go wrong went wrong in that first half, and it was as bad of a first half of football as you could have imagined. Um, Classic example of a team that wants it more. Venezia wanted it more. Eusebio Di Francesco, one thing I'll give it to him, he's unlucky as shit. Like he's so unlucky
Well, I mean, I
when it comes to
listen. Hold on, hold on.
results on the
A guy
pitch.
who gets that many jobs after
No, no, no. But
I
that's I'm not
I
saying
see what you're saying though. I
on the
understand what
pitch.
you're
Like
saying
I
in terms of the unlucky and
I like for me, he's really and between this start to the season with Venezia and last year with Frosinone, the guy has been in so many situations. His team was leading a game, and then to have it overturned. Obviously, he's also got some input in it, but man, he's been quite unlucky when it comes to his smaller sides, going up against bigger teams, almost getting a result out of it, just to then see it vanish in a matter of what today 8 minutes between one goal and the other. So I honestly I can't be mad when he says we deserve the 3 points, because honestly, based on what Venezia have given us this season, which is next to nothing, to then see them fight the way they did against the Roma in Stadio Olimpico, the way they did in that first half, and with the limited personnel that they've had, it was pretty impressive. And for Roma, obviously, it was quite a shameful sight. But I still will choose to look at the glass half full, meaning the players that come into that second half all contribute and
yes.
are all able to to overturn it, which is something that perhaps we will take it for granted today, because we always tend to, right, we always tend to be hung up on the times that the substitutes come on and they look crap. And so we go over and we're like, those substitutions were terrible, and this guy,
Yes.
where was he? But today it's every single player that came on in that second half made a difference. Paredes, Baldanzi, Pisilli, everybody left a mark on this match, helped give Roma this win. And it's something that I don't think has occurred too many times last year, where you could be, you know, in a comfortable position, thinking, oh yeah, well, we have Baldanzi coming on, or oh yeah, Pisilli's coming on. Like, if you saw Pisilli last year come on, it meant game over. Like, the hopeless. Or Baldanzi coming on was basically a non-factor. Right now, these are
Yes.
players that are giving you a possibility to win. So that has to matter. That we have to not dismiss that so easily, because listen, so many times I've seen this team put out its strongest starting 11, and once those players were gassed after the 60th minute, that's it. The match was over. You can pack it up, because whoever is coming off the bench is really not going to make that much of a difference, Um, like last season, we had Tammy Abraham coming on as a substitute, and that meant game over, because Tammy Abraham could not give you anything, could not do anything, could not produce anything. So as soon as you saw him lining up next to the referee, to the fourth official, you knew exactly how the game was going to go from there. And now look at us, like the team struggles. It's got some of the best players on the pitch out there. They're struggling, and you make a 180 turnaround by bringing on these young, uh, uh, relatively unexperienced guys who end up making the difference, who end up leading the charge. So I don't want us to, as bad of a first half as it was, I think there is also plenty of important takeaways in that second half, where Ivan Juric really puts all his confidence into guys that just a few months ago had no business playing those minutes that they're now consistently playing.
That is the biggest takeaway I think from today. Is all surrounding Ivan Juric. As nice as it was to see Pisilli do that, as nice as it was to see that second half turnaround, but I say second half, but really it was the final 15 to 20 minutes where they really came to life. For me, this is about Ivan Juric. Now, I suppose I would like to throw it out there because again, this is me thinking out loud. I haven't even formulated how I feel about it. Is that first half? Is that the experimentation? I wish you would clarify on that. Is that him trying to find still his best 11, and within his best 11, the best role for each? Is that him trying to find? uh, I suppose I'm trying to understand with each selection that he made out there. Obviously, you have some obvious names that are going to be in there, as you do Dolph pick. He's going to start no matter what. The same could be same Indica, Mancini. But as far as the middle of the pitch goes, the midfield, I mean, to me, it is all a mystery, because that is, if we look where the biggest impact comes from tonight, it's there. It's you bring on different profiles in the midfield, and things just click for some reason. But why are they not clicking prior to this? Is this players that they just don't mesh together? You have Kone out there, you have Cristante, you have Pellegrini. Are they just not meshing well? Do their characteristics
Well, but
not
that's,
flow
but I mean,
together?
but that's normal. As in, Juric before the game was thinking, well, I don't know if I should start Con and Pisilli together. Ultimately, he decided
Yes.
to start Cristante next to Cone and Pellegrini instead of Baldanzi. Yesterday's papers were saying that Baldanzi is a sure lock for the starting 11. That did not materialize. Baldanzi was replaced by Pellegrini, and then Sule replaced Dybala. Um, so I do think that this is clearly the case of a manager who is putting these pieces together. Today, even though Kone has a bad game, And a lot of people take issue with Cristante staying on and him not coming up. It's not.
Oh, of course they come on. Yeah.
I must say, I love that.
He could start this season, that guy would still be
I
giving
I
crap.
love that Cristante scored. I cannot underline how
So do I.
how much
And by the way, the way he scored too, it's all that sweeter. I
it's
mean,
so
come on,
much sweeter.
come on.
Like the more, and it's incredible because this is what the Romanisti, most Romanisti do to me. The more they complain about something, the more I'll enjoy their tears when that someone will slowly but surely prove them wrong in a way that is so completely irritating to them. Because Cristante today, yes, he stays on. Who's coming off? Cone, not Cristante. Okay, there you go. That's the first instance where most Roma fans would lose their shit. When
Yes.
they see Cone coming off, and they're like, why Cristante should be coming? No, no, no. Cone is having a bad game. He's coming off, and guess what? Cristante scores next. I do think that this is really but that doesn't mean that Cone is not important. And after the game, Juric said there are 4 or 5 players on this team, these young players whom I consider very important for the future. They're great people to work with, and he lists Sule, Baldanzi, Cone, and Pisilli. And that's it. Like that's what you want to hear, in the sense that I don't think anyone would have a clear understanding of what needs to be done right away 3 games in. This was Ivan Juric's third game. Like the margin for experimentation is very minimal, but at the same time you still have to find ways to experiment, because the season is long. You have to find ways to have these guys click. You have to find ways to rotate so that everybody's happy. If it's not happening right now, it's not going to be happening in January, let me assure you. So there has to be a point where you can feel free to throw Cristante out there. And hey, listen, midweek against the Swedish team Elfborg, we will probably not see Cristante and Pellegrini. So everybody that is unhappy to see them can take a chill pill, relax. But I do think that these experimentations, even for example the fact that Juric is still testing this defense, and the
Yes.
team takes a completely different shape if Angelino is playing as that 3.5 man in the back.
He was
Or
good again today, man. You were right on something with him.
the,
There's something
there
there.
is something there. Like, he is the guy for Juric. He's like the key to everything. But that just shows you that, whether Angelino plays on the left as the fifth midfielder or whether he plays in the 3-man backline, that changes everything. If you have Hermoso out there, it changes everything. So we also have to consider that as an important factor, that Juric is very much trying to get a reading on this team. Well, yes, we cannot afford to make mistakes. We cannot afford to take chances. It's a very paradoxical situation, because on one hand, we have the need to try these guys out. Like, there's just so many players that are waiting to unlock. There are so many players that are waiting for their chance. We haven't seen Sangare, we haven't seen Dal, we haven't seen Hummels.
Yes.
Sule needs to unlock himself. At the same time, we need the results, we need the wins, we need certainties, and Roma right now are not in a position to give us those certainties. So in my opinion, unfortunately, like, it's just part of the process of getting these guys on the same page, because you have to know what do you get from a duo consisting of Cristante and Cone versus Cone and Pisilli, or versus Pisilli and Cristante. Like, and what do you do with Paredes? Is Paredes going to be happy being a bench player right now? Like, is that something that he will, meet with enthusiasm? Those are all considerations that must be made right now, because the season is long. You're just getting started with Europa League. You don't want to end up in January and have a roster of unhappy players who lack the physical condition to actually contribute to the team. Everybody needs to be sharp. And right now, I get the sense that most players are getting there. There's still some that are a bit odd to the whole team, as in,
Yes.
like, Matias Sule right now is a bit of a foreign object. He's got ways to go. But anytime you get a win and Paulo Dybala doesn't have to play minutes, that's important. That's an important sign.
It definitely is. I think again, we mentioned this in the previous one. There are guys that are a bit of an awkward fit. Sule was one of them. He looked very awkward today. Now, I do think some of that probably has to do with the fact. I mean, remember the first few matches? I mean, the guy started and played nonstop, and then we have just this random change in the fourth, and he sits, he doesn't play. I believe there were two matches in a row where he didn't even enter as a substitute. So to go from one end to the other, it has to be at least mentally very difficult for him. Um, as far as Eusebio goes, I was on Radio Vicenza because they have a very large Roma following up there in Vicenza. Obviously, they uh, they asked me to relive some of the moments of Eusebio Di Francesco. If there was one moment that stuck out, and I think they asked that, assuming I would pick a positive one, like the Champions League. Um, you know which one I went to because it was the negative one, and it was in the final season, and it was in the Coppa Italia, and you bring it up multiple times, and you were the first one I thought of as I started to talk about it because you love bringing up this match that Roma, when they were eliminated in the Coppa Italia to to Fiorentina, to him
Yeah.
seven seven to
Seven,
one.
7-1, 7-1.
But his post-match interview was something of, I mean,
I don't even
it
think
was
that
the
he
most
took issue with it. Like
no,
if I remember correctly, he when everybody was like scrambling for answers, everybody was like, "What did we just witness? What was that?"
oh
Eusebio
my gosh.
was almost like he
Oh,
had seen it coming, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, why
yeah,
not?"
he was so cavalier of it. Yes. You,
Like he analyzed it
I
like
mean,
just any other game. Yeah, like we started off well, then we lost something along the way. But that was the beating of the century. I remember people
yes.
were completely detached from reality, and he was still allowed to go on coaching the team after that. That's the crazy part. It's not the game that
That
cost him his tenure at Roma. That was Porto, but the Fiorentina game didn't do anything for him.
it was I'm still in awe because I as I was saying it, I Googled very quickly the transcript of his post-match interview on it, and you just would have thought Roma got unlucky and conceded in the final moments, and he is still trying to pick out and find positives and find bright spots of this match and performance. And the guy just there is something to him in how cavalier he can be.
Uh,
It's
I
almost
mean, think about the Cagliari overturning that result, and him like the first thing that the camera picks up
the meme.
is him smiling.
Yes.
Like,
The side profile, and then you see him, you just see him go. I mean, I wanted to die. I wanted to
yeah,
die
yeah,
watching
yeah,
that.
yeah. But
Um,
and for him, it was like, like, okay, go on, cool, okay.
there is, I have to say, he does provide some levity where we know Roma is going to kick us in the groin at least once a week. There is some levity that a guy like that who is just so aloof, who is so almost just not present in the moment. It is almost as if his body is there, but his head is he's in a different dimension. And seeing him with that reaction, and even today, if you just look at his reaction, like when they had that second goal ruled offside, he wasn't even angry immediately after he had a reaction, but they go to him like 30 seconds later, and he's just sitting there going,
I know. I always wonder,
It's
like, where does he find the strength to keep doing this job? Because I'm telling you, like, after the way he got relegated last year with Frosinone, I would have jumped out of a 10 floor window. Like I would have said, this is it. I'm not coming back to this career. I'm becoming a baker. I don't know. I'm doing just about anything that doesn't involve coaching, because the things that Eusebio has seen are quite nightmarish. This is, I mean,
Yes.
but honestly, if I was a Venezia fan today, I would not really have major issues with how they performed, because
No.
they put the pressure on Roma. They could have easily gone up 3-0 in that first half. They bombarded us. They were the ones dictating the pace. So they did everything that a small team could have done, and beyond,
Yes.
even in a context like the Stadio Olimpico against Roma in this very specific moment. So all things considered, Eusebio today did what he had to do, and
He did.
the fact that he's coming out of it empty-handed is just, it's a testament to just how the character, like he's become. Yes, he is the being. He is the guy who suffers, and that's it, and that's his duty, and he's always going to be there. We're gonna keep watching Eusebio be miserable on the sideline, and that's one of the certainties that we can count on in this life.
I mean, it is pretty amazing too when you consider the fact, like, you have managers who, at one point they were having some success in Serie A, like somebody like Sotil, a young, younger manager who doesn't have like the proven track record. I mean, they end up going to Serie B, Serie C, coaching in the most obscure of places. And yet this guy, I mean, there is something. I am convinced that the guy has photos of. It has to be multiple
No,
people. I mean, to have.
I just think he's got that remontada against Barcelona sort of stapled in on
Oh,
his resume, and that's huge. Like for him, that is big. Like that is something that he will probably live off of for the rest of his career. I do think that in certain contexts he could do well. I do think that been very bad at making the right decisions in his career, like like going to Sampdoria, or going to Hellas Verona, being fired after 3 games, just choosing really bad context, signing with Cagliari and then getting sacked right after signing an extension, because of just
yes,
poor that whole spell was, like, ridiculous. Some of those choices that he made are ridiculous, but if he was wise, he could choose better context for him to sort of reaffirm himself as, because he used to be a pretty exciting coach, like he led
yes,
Sassuolo to Europe, which was no small feat, and he made certain players flourish under him. I mean, guys like De Frel never went back to being who they were under him. Guys like
gosh.
Berardi never went back to being the Berardi that he was under Di Francesco. So I don't know. I think tonight, well, not tonight. I'm so used to Roma playing in the evening that but today I think Roma just, you know, classic example of a team that sleepwalks, and then we have Venezia who had more going on, who had more at stake. I think Roma had
Yes.
obviously also a lot at stake, because you can imagine what the fans would have done if the team had lost the way they played in that first half. But at the end of the day, Roma have that quality. Like we have to understand it, that this team, there is quality in it. People will always debate transfer signing and so on. But as you can see, there's quality on this team. There is depth. There is the thing that, oh, Kone is not working out. Sure, we'll throw in Baldanzi because he's in a good shape. Pisilli, there you go. Angelino, a guy whom everybody was skeptical about, because why is he coming from Galatasaray? Why would we want him? And right now he is the key to Juric's whole engine. So Evan Dika, a guy we signed on a free, a lot of people started off slow when he came to Roma a year ago, and wow, he's very unconvincing. Oh, what's it all about with him? And then slowly but surely, he is proving to be an important player for the team. So there are elements to work with, and Juric is the first one to acknowledge it. As I said, he just mentioned, Sule, Baldanzi, Pisilli. These are guys that for a coach, are very important because they give you lots of options, are still young, full of energy, and flexible in what they can learn and what they can do on the pitch. That's all you can hope for right now, is to have people that on the pitch are willing to do just about anything for you, and that will not refuse to work because, hey, you're not giving them the role they want, the duties they want. They will do just about anything to see the team succeed. And for someone like Juric, who just came in, very difficult situation, fans are proving to be more problematic than you expected them to. Club is a bit in shambles. Internally, there is a lot of speculation. Players underperforming, veterans being questioned. You have to find the players that give you those answers, or at least give you the hope to achieve those answers within, say, a couple of months. Maybe Baldanzi will be a certified starter a couple of months from now, just like maybe Matias Sule will find his way into this lineup on a more consistent basis.
I couldn't agree more. And the thing that I also think is worth mentioning is this emergence of Pisilli. Whatever gripes many had with Daniele De Rossi, I mean, clearly he was able to identify something. And I think the fact that he was able to identify something, Juric was able to build off of that. I think it is worth mentioning that, again, this is somebody, and you said it just a few minutes ago. This was somebody at the end of summer. Not Pisilli is not somebody we are counting on heavily. Baldanzi is somebody who, yes, you spent a lot on him in January, but we all know this is a guy who you are not going to rely upon now, but definitely in the future. And he is showing some things. He is showing promise, but we want to ease him in. We don't want to put pressure on him. Maybe he can at some point go on loan somewhere or something. These are guys who were non-entities in the summer. When you are filling out your starting formation, or when you are even filling out guys who you view as the first to come off the bench, those two were not even in the discussion. And the fact now that you have these two who have very, very particular qualities, very particular. Baldanzi, you called it a few episodes ago. I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. This thing about him being Mezzala. Everybody was saying, well, how is he going to fit in with Dybala, Sule? He's just not going to find space. Even El Shaarawy, maybe he would even be behind him. I mean, the fact now that you see him filling in at Mezzala, or he can go up front. I think that is a quality that, again, nobody else on the team has that. The fact that you can rely upon these guys, I think, is going to be very important. Obviously, now, but moving forward too, to know that not only do you have these young players who the quality is not going to drop off, but they have the mentality, whether they are in the starting 11 or they are coming off the bench. And this is more so common in younger players who are still trying to prove themselves, who still have the motivation to make it, so to speak. To have that in these two guys, I think, is very important, very important. And who knows what they can achieve and what levels they will reach in the future. The thing, I hate getting out in front when you have a guy like Pisilli, like this, who scores a very important goal. Tomorrow we are going to hear some very stupid analysis about he can become, oh my gosh, he can become Perotta, De Rosa.
Just
You are going to hear people compare him,
I remember
people comparing him to,
Felix Afenagian being compared to Samuel Eto'o. Uh,
yes, and now he's in Juve's
Juve under
next
23. Yeah,
generation
yeah,
team.
yeah.
Yeah, so that is the thing that drives me mad after you have somebody very young, particularly one, coming up to the youth system who does something like this of importance. So I am trying my best to avoid that. But at least to have these guys that, again, you have somebody like Kone, who it's easy to feel comfortable when he comes on. Because, again, this is a guy you spent a lot of money on in the summer. This is who your summer He was among your biggest signings of the summer. Just by nature, you're going to feel a lot better when he comes onto the pitch or when he is starting versus when Pisilli versus when Baldanzi comes on. But knowing you have guys like that that are young, that are not going to be affected if they are starting or not, that still have that motivation, I think is crucial. And I think that is something that is not very often discussed because whether we want to believe it or not, when you are Kone, when you are Cristante, Pellegrini, whoever it is, somebody who has been there, who has played at this level for a long time, they're going to suck. You get pissed off when you are not starting. So you might not have that same level of motivation when you enter as a substitute. Now, is it often? I don't know, but it's there. You are pissed off when you are not starting. But man, when you see these guys come in, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the turnaround came when they came on. I mean, they were decisive. They are what turned the fortunes around today. I think that is crucial, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's again, it's something that we are not very familiar with because most of the time,
No.
starting 11 was that was the team that was what you can count on, and if Romelu Lukaku is not doing anything, then why would you ever hope that Tammy Abraham will give you something? And if Lorenzo Pellegrini is not producing, then who else do you have off the bench? And that was the issue. Renato Sanchez, Hussein Mawar, can we count on them? Usually the answer was no. And so we have to, as critical as we should be of that first half, I still think that this with Juric is once again a new, I'm not even going to use the word, but it's something new. And we have to understand that there will be, yes, pieces of games that are not working out for us. There will be first halves that are bad. There will be 15 minutes of mental collapse that lead to an opponent scoring on you, like against Athletic. Um, but I think as we go along, we will start to find more answers and more certainties, and know that, oh, okay, well, if Baldanzi is on the bench, that's still good. Like, that still gives us a chance, instead of facing every match with so many questions that we used to have. Now, hopefully, we can move towards a more sustainable way of seeing this team. That, sure, okay, I may not like the starting lineup, but hey, if Cristante and Kone can work together, then good. And if one of them doesn't work, then we'll try the combination of Pisilli and Paredes, and that's what you want. That's what you need for your team to do. And tonight we also exactly get a result without Paulo Dybala on the pitch. That, for
Yes.
so many people said, well, yeah, exactly, you dropped off against Athletic because Dybala was not there. Well, to, today we grabbed this win despite Paulo Dybala not being there, and that's something that we also cannot take for granted, because how many times I've heard people say, yeah, well, this team plays well only when Dybala is there, and today we played bad and well without him on the pitch. So you get the full image, and so even with such an important absence, you are able to, first of all, get a win, and second of all, experiment and see who can give you what you need at this point in time.
Absolutely. We will be back Thursday after the Europa League match. And then after that, Roma have Monza at the weekend. So we will chat with you very soon. Until then, ciao.